Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Thursday Mornings with Alex and Don, where Pastor Don answers all of your questions on theology, parenting, and whether he can tell if you're sleeping in church. Enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Trying to figure out which way to cross your legs.
Well, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, we should get some fun chairs or something, so that we would just recliners.
Oh, recliners.
Or beanbag chairs. Yeah. No, there's a certain age limit for beanbag chairs.
Oh, they're cool.
Yeah.
It just takes a few more beans when you're older.
Oh, I was gonna say they probably became popular when you were a youngster, and they probably used real beans in there.
I never opened one up, but probably. Yeah.
Okay. I just remember that when they had that foam stuff, and when you would great on them, and you're like, oh, this one has a hole because it would just shoot this foam into the air, and
I think they had Navy beans, Great Northern Navy beans in them.
Mm.
They're bigger.
Not the Air Force beans, or the Army, but Navy. Okay.
Yeah, right.
So, question: have you ever read something that's so boring you feel like it's poisoning you? Like you're like, I'm dying, and I think it's Matthew verses 1 through 19. You know what I'm talking about?
Matthew. Oh, the genealogies in Matthew. Yeah.
I mean, is the Bible important? Yes. Are those important?
Well, Charlene and I just went through reading the Bible, and got into the begats and the begottens, and they get little long.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm finding is interesting that if you get a little bit more familiar with the names, then you realize how they fit together.
Yeah.
Then you realize, hey, Rahab, she wasn't really in the fold, but she's in the genealogy that comes to Jesus. How God can redeem people we wouldn't even think about, and they become part of his plan. Like maybe he has a place for even me.
Okay. You spun that in a good way. You're very optimistic on that part of it. I like that, but not disagreeing with you, but if I come to church and I look at the bulletin and see that the scripture reading is Matthew chapter 1, verses 1 through 17, I'm probably going to yell fire.
Fire.
Okay.
Someday maybe you won't, though.
Okay. I'm going to grow in my spiritual journey, and I'm going to really enjoy reading those verses someday.
Well, I'm not sure you're going to jump up and down for those verses, but you'll realize, whoa, there's a heavy message here.
Yeah. Okay.
God even has a place for Alex.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
In the begats.
Yeah. I just recently found the book of Matthew, it's on Amazon Video, and maybe it's called Prime Video, whatever it is, but it's it's a well produced the book of Matthew, and they did it for all the Gospels, and yeah, they try to kind of race through that very first part there, because what do you show for an image with that stuff? Yeah. But otherwise, I thought it was really good.
Well, part of it is I'm a genealogist. I enjoy knowing where I've come from and what has begat me to be who I am today, and to think that that's been the case from the very beginning is pretty profound.
So have you done one of the 23andMe or Ancestry? Or,
right.
What are your origins?
I get a lot of messages. Basically, it's Scottish, English, and German. I'm 3/8 German.
Whoa.
Can you imagine how I could argue with myself? I could have my own war. Scotch, Irish, German. Well, yeah. I can disagree with myself.
Yeah.
And be effective.
Yeah. I do that every day.
I can be conflicted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, I looked at a map of where the people, what each state is and their, what the most populous ancestry of it. And a lot of them are from German. That surprised me, I haven't done one, but I know my mom, she did one, and she found out that she was I don't remember any of the other things, because she was most proud that she was what was it, like 8%, or she'll comment and say what it was, like Lebanese.
Lebanese.
Yeah. So she was real proud of that.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would think with the name of Zimmerman, you might have some German back.
I think so. Yeah. Yep. I think that's true. Mm-hmm. So this next question, the verse, if you want to look it up, it's Exodus 23, 1 through 9. And there's a lot of talk about justice and what that looks like in the United States and all over, is because we were founded on like this system that was supposed to be like the perfect justice where no one can escape it and no one can be, but now there's this social justice where it's I'm trying to figure out if that is a good thing or not. Do you want to read that?
Do not spread false reports. Do not help a wicked man by being malicious in witness. Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. Did you say a specific verse or these first 18?
I said 1 through 9.
Yeah. But when you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd, and do not show favoritism to a poor man in his lawsuit. If you come across your enemy's ox or donkey wandering off, be sure to take it back to him. If you see the donkey or of someone who hates you fallen down under its load, do not leave it there. Be sure to help him with it. Do not deny justice to your poor people in their lawsuits. Have nothing to do with false charge, and do not put an innocent or honest person to death, or I will not acquit the guilty. Do not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds those who see and twists the words of the righteous. Do not oppress an alien. You yourselves know how it feels to be aliens, because you were aliens in Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I thought that's how I've always thought is that. But what I wanted to ask you is, like, how do you know when you're a part of the crowd? You know, because it's pretty much just like, you know, do the just things, do the righteous things, serve justice. Don't, just because everyone else thinks that this is the right way to go, that doesn't necessarily mean, but it's actually saying there, don't side with the crowd,
right.
Doesn't it?
Right, it does. Don't side with the crowd.
Does that mean that once you've reached...
Do not follow the crowd in doing wrong. Part of the reason...
Oh, in doing wrong, okay.
In the doing, what's being... So, God has created us, whether we like it or not, with a moral radar. Granted, over time, it can be abused and misused, and sometimes even corrupted to the point that there are people I've worked with who have no moral radar anymore. However, God, I think, created in our heart a sense of who He is, what justice is, what's right, what's wrong. I think Jesus put it really good. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Apart from any other created being, we as human beings are given the ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. And we need to understand and live that out more often.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. What about the part about not siding with the poor? What was it?
Against the poor, right?
Against the poor, yeah. Wait,
and James would have something to say about that too. It's easy when somebody's got enough money to bribe you to let the money speak.
Yeah.
And sometimes in our society, I think we let money speak.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the church could be guilty of letting money speak.
Right.
That's not justice.
Yeah.
And that's not what God is talking about when He wants us to not only be just, but be merciful.
Right.
To those who are poor.
Yeah. And those who have been, I know, like, one of the translations in that is like, it was not just like poor, but like downtrodden or oppressed, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think that might come from a newer, they might have added the oppressed part but it was a 1998 one, so it can be a super modern translation of that. but I've kind of questioned about like a real world, something that I've struggled with. Okay. Um, so with agriculture, right? Back in the 50s and 60s, I believe, they made it so that if you wanted to get a loan, is some certain things about acquiring loans and acquiring grants from the government and stipends, different sort of government assistance programs, and you had to have a certain amount of credit to be able to do that. And at the time, like, there weren't any African Americans that really had this kind of credit. Like, they put this thing in there knowing, and I think widely anyone who's like been in the world of agriculture and understands the side of it is like, that was egregiously bad. And it wasn't necessarily the the agricultural secretary or the FDA or something like that, but it was actually how it was written. That's neither here nor there. But recently, like both like Barack Obama and who's our senator, Grassley.
Mm-hmm.
They actually, before Barack Obama became president, they wrote a bill trying to get something to happen to, not really reparations, but something along those lines. Now, I see in that, from that passage, like, they were oppressed and they were not allowed to be able to do that. Shouldn't we now side with them on that? I mean, because I know that the crowd definitely thinks that we should do something for it, and I think there even was a bill to provide more relief aid for African American farmers, which I definitely don't agree with. But then I look back at what happened in like the 50s and 60s, and it seems like I'm having a hard time saying that isn't what we should do now. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's just money, but is it the right thing to do?
Right. And what course will it correct at this point? The Bible says he visits the sins of the fathers to the third and fourth generation of those who hate him, but his love to the 1,000 generations. I'm not sure that I'm responsible for anything my grandfather or my great-grandfather did. I'm not sure how responsible we are for what our government did 2 generations ago. I think we have to be careful when we work with historical things like that, mm-hmm. that we don't create more problems than we're correcting.
Right. Well, I mean, you just have to have agreement, right? Like, there wouldn't be a problem if everyone said, yeah, we should, essentially do something that is completely based off of race to address the past. And then if everyone was in agreement about it, that'd be kind of cool. But at the same time, I just look at farming. It's like, you only make money like 1 year out of 7 if you're lucky anyways. So, well, what's the point of bailing out, or not bailing out, but I think it was like paying 120% of the debts of just African American farmers, and then, the white farmers have to then suffer, which I don't think that's what's happening. Especially with prices are doing pretty good, but wouldn't it just be like the agreement? Like, how much harm would it honestly do? Would it create a lot of harm?
I'm not sure, and I'm not that was a new one from me.
Okay.
So I'm not as well versed on that as I might as well admit it.
Yeah, if someone knows more about it, they definitely comment on it.
The piece that bothers me a little bit is the fact that there are so many voices crying out injustice, but we have nothing drawing us forward.
Yeah.
Is there a vision for our nation that draws us into a future that we all can be desiring together?
Yeah.
And I don't see that happening. I think we as Christians have a view of how we would like to see the world move towards Christ, towards love, towards unity, towards something bigger than we are individually, mm-hmm. and in fact, something bigger than we are corporately. But there is no no vision, no hope driving us forward.
Yeah.
And unless there's something out there that we're all going to work towards together, there's always going to be that banter that I didn't get my piece.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're investing towards something together in the future, that's something we all can give into.
Yeah.
But otherwise, well, I bought lunch this week. You should buy lunch.
Yeah.
That kind of thinking is more self-centered and divisive, than if we're all moving towards something together.
Yeah.
That's where I come from, saying, if we all only realize that God created us all for a reason, and that he's given us a package of purpose for us to live out. But there's very few voices calling that out of us today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's generally optimistic people and pessimistic people. And I think you can change over time. I'm definitely the pessimistic.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And that's why I married an optimistic person.
That's good.
Like you said in the sermon a few Sundays ago, that was like, you often are attracted to opposites. Because I find that my political leanings aside is that I don't like no one likes the negative, like the attack ads. Like, this is wrong, and yet I find myself doing that. Like, not with politics, but like in everyday situations, someone has an idea, or someone has like this, I'm like, this is what's wrong with that idea. Mm-hmm. These are the bad things. And yet I have a hard time, putting a positive plan forward to address it. And I've found that that's the root of divisiveness, is that it's always, this is what's wrong. And what I don't like what our government does, like, we found what's wrong and we're going to do something. Probably not the right thing. Generally is ever the right thing. Generally ever does any good. But we're doing something, and that's what we want to see. While some of them are just like, nope, we don't know how to do that yet, so we're not going to do anything. But so there needs to be that's kind of one of the nice things, is when the government is working together, they have those two things that generally hit each other, and then how the founding fathers did it is, like, if they can't agree, it shouldn't happen. But of course we found ways around that now. So yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, so if anyone knows,
it is a tough one,
more on that, because I could be off on those, on the farming and the how things happened back in the day with grants and stuff like that. I would definitely like to be corrected on that if I was wrong. So, this is a good one. Okay, so in the Gospels, right, they're a little different. Each one each one has a different kind of tone for something, right?
Correct.
But something that someone pointed out to me that I read is, like, the accounts of the donkey is the same. You know what I'm talking about?
When Jesus comes into the city on the donkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even when he says, go, there's a donkey here. Go, pretty much tells them a map. It's there. Go get it. Bring it. I'm going to ride it. I thought that was one of the most interesting things. It was just like, why is that part so important?
Well, the triumphal entry into Jerusalem was the one moment that Jesus was honored for who he really was. Mm-hmm. King of Kings and Lord of Lords. All the other times it seems like there was suspect and there was questions, and the religious people were having a hissy fit over one thing or another. But it's the one time where hosannas were raised to the true King of Kings. It's important in that sense. The second piece is that it's significant that he came into town in the same way that in the Old Testament.
I was wondering if you're going to say that. Yeah, go ahead.
The king who came into town to make things right came into town.
Like prophecy.
Yeah.
Yep. And it had to be done that way. for it to. And I just thought it was interesting that they all put that in there to make sure to point it out without saying, look, prophecy has been fulfilled.
Right.
Yeah. That's really cool. You ever rode on a donkey?
No.
Why?
No. Horses, yes, but donkeys, well, they're sort of contrary like I am, so I don't think we'd get along.
Oh.
I have this vision of Festus in Gunsmoke and his donkey. Yeah, I don't.
Okay. Well, you said horses. All right. Here's a bad joke. What does a horse say when it falls down?
I don't know. What does a horse say when it falls down?
Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up.
Can't giddy up, yes.
Yeah. Terrible joke there.
I should always watch when you pull out that white card because I know it's going to have some of those on it.
The worst is that sometimes, I like hear them or read them and it's just like the slow, just like, I know it's a good one if I just shake your head a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
It should have like that audible groan afterwards. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then you know it's good.
Then you know that's a gold right there. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, Don. Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Blessings, Alex.
Yep. Take care.
You too.